Summer routines live or die by how easy they are, and honestly, if something takes too much effort, I'm out. That's why Groons is my go-to. It's my one daily pack of gummies covering my greens, vitamins, and minerals. Plus, it has 6 grams of prebiotic fiber, which is more than 2 cups of broccoli. No mixing powders, no giant pills, no hassle. I just rip open the pack and I'm done. They taste good and they make it easy to stay on top of my health, even when life gets busy. Save up to 52% with the code PODCAST at Groons.co. That's code PODCAST at GRUNS.co.
From the kids to Aunt Sue. Keep your whole family connected on all their devices with crowd-pleasing gig-speed internet from Xfinity. Now that's simple, easy, awesome. Learn more about gig-speed internet or other popular plans, now with even more speed. Enjoy faster downloads and a better streaming experience today. Go to Xfinity.com, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit an Xfinity store for a great offer. Restrictions apply. Actual speeds vary and not guaranteed.
Welcome back to TalkNorth.com. Thank you for listening. If you can, please download before you listen. It helps our business. I'd also like to thank our producer, Brandon Morton, and let you know if you'd like to sponsor this program or any of the programs on the network, you can reach me at jsouhan47@gmail.com. A rare pregame version of the Russo-Souhan show. We're both on our way to the XL Energy Center to cover the Minnesota Wild on Tuesday night. And you know, as you know by now, if you've been listening to this for a long time, we'll do some pregame chat, but most of the stuff we'll have some shelf life. We'll talk about some bigger picture topics that won't be affected by their performance tonight. At least we hope not. This is part of the TalkNorth.com podcast network. Please check out all the shows, including Jeff Diamond and Tim Yoder on the Vikings, John Krasinski on the Timberwolves, Cheryl Reeve. Great shows all across the board. Thanks to Twill and the Edina Galleria, Dulono's Pizza, where our next live show will be 6 p.m. on January 28th. Which I believe is a Monday night. Come out. We had a huge crowd last time we went. It was just a great bunch of people. Had a blast. Thank you to Delonos. Thank you to the people who came out. Fixologyrepair.com. Tony Hoaglund, your State Farm agent in Champlin. Reminder, please download before you listen. Thanks to our producer, Brandon Morton. Please follow us at Talk North Pod on Twitter for show times and sponsor deals. And if you'd like to advertise with this show or the network, you can reach us at talknorthpodcast@gmail.com.
I know I always zone out, but did you say Fixology?
I did say Fixology, and yes, you do always zone out. No question about it. All right, before we get to all the hockey stuff, I just can't believe that you didn't fly home to be with your mother when she was undergoing surgery.
Wow, so, you must have talked to her.
I might have.
So you know, in my religion, there's something called Jewish guilt.
Well, there's also
moms are famous for this.
And see, in my religion, there's something called Catholic guilt. The difference is, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I've been around for 55 years now. I've studied all kinds of different religions. Your guilt is placed directly upon you by your mother.
Yeah.
In Catholicism, we're born feeling guilty, and we don't really need a parent to place it upon us.
Trust me, I felt guilty that I'm not going down there, and that I didn't go down there for the surgery, and that this all fell on my brother. But my mom, she doesn't just give the Jewish guilt where she tries to subtly make you feel like. She'll just point blank say, "Don't you feel guilty that you're not down here? Aren't you glad that your brother is taking care of me? What would you do without your brother? So that's what I've been dealing with all week, and I do feel bad,
And I mean, the good thing is I'm sure she hasn't pointed out that you couldn't find the time to go spend time with her in her hour of need, but you will go to Costa Rica in the middle of a hockey season.
Well, I'm going to this wedding, and
wedding,
the other thing is that the way that I booked the trip, it was like I did not. Obviously, I booked the trip before she found out that she needed surgery and the date she needed surgery. And I go from Costa Rica to Vegas and Denver to pick up the Wild. And so it was such a complex booking that I didn't even know I didn't even know how to reschedule it. It would have cost an absolute fortune for one. because I would have just had to buy a flight to Atlanta, then from Atlanta to Vegas and Denver. So, tough me. I'm going to have to go to Costa Rica, which, by the way, I think the Wild need me to go to Costa Rica, and I need to go to Costa Rica.
Wearing a little thin on the boys as they stick the joint up?
Yeah, I did notice in the locker room yesterday I was getting eyeballed by some people. So, I think
That's how you know you're doing your job.
I just think that when you're a team like this, you should probably never, ever read.
No, not when you
or look at Twitter, or and your friends and family should probably say, "Hey, did you see what Russo wrote about you?" So,
do they all have athletic subscriptions?
I think they might.
Or they have one team one, and
I think they have one team one. I know that one player has one because I might have gotten that player the one, and that the player wanted to read something and didn't have a subscription, so I'm like, I just want to.
And hockey players can't afford the $4 a month.
So I bought it, but I have a feeling that password and username has made it around the locker room a bit. So.
And I know you're going to Costa Rica for a wedding. Have you been there before?
Once. I went there probably. I was living in Minnesota at the time, so I'm thinking it must have been like 10 or 11 years ago. I went with my brother and a buddy.
I think you told me
maybe
about
11
that.
or 12.
I've heard it's great.
I landed in San Jose, and San Jose is not a great place. And so I got, it's like you kind of use it as a port of entry,
right,
and then get the heck out of there. I think we landed so late that we
somebody
stayed
built
at
a wall
this,
around San Jose. Nobody would ever find a way to get in.
So we went to the San Jose Marriott, which is on a coffee plantation, which is kind of cool. Then I rented a minivan, and we went to Arenal, which is an active volcano there was awesome. I think it might be temporarily dormant right now, but it's like one of those volcanoes that, if I remember correctly, it's not really magma that flows down. It's just super hot rock. And so it looks very different than you see on TV what a active volcano that's spewing in Hawaii would look like. And the place that we stayed were essentially all little cottages in the forest, and each one was situated with the patio facing the volcano. So at night it just looked unreal. Yeah. And then we drove over to the West Coast, and we stayed at whatever the Marriott would be there, Los Sueños Marriott, which was awesome. And kind of drove back and forth down that coast for a while. So
Sueños is that dream in Spanish?
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah.
And then this one I'm flying in for the first time to Liberia airport, not Africa.
Right.
And so it's apparently a really cool small little airport. So I'm looking forward to it. It's gonna be fun. And then I'll pick up the team in Vegas next Sunday. I fly out at first thing Sunday to Vegas, and then Denver. And then we got the All-Star break and the bye. So it's going to be interesting what happens to this Wild team and if they can figure out a way to correct themselves this week.
We were talking pretty much right before the game on Tuesday. Let's talk about the last two losses that seem to upend the entire season. Do want to thank Twill in the Edina Galleria, twillmn.com, TWILL on Instagram. Check them out. Both the website and Instagram accounts are great representations of what they do. I'm wearing a Twill shirt. A shirt I bought at Twill right now, a Stenstrom shirt. And now that I'm wearing a lot of stuff I bought at Twill, I can't remember what kind of crappy stuff I wore before. So check out Twill. Go into the store, chat with the people. They're very nice. They're very laid back. They'll have a game on. Browse. Enjoy.
Jim usually doesn't like to shop for clothes. I don't like it when he shops for clothes either, because he used to buy stuff I'd want to throw out. That's why I'm so glad he's found Twill in the Edina Galleria. He likes shopping there because of the comfortable environment and the friendly staff. He finds clothes that actually fit him properly and are high-quality brands that will look great for years, whether he's golfing or working. Our favorites so far are Peter Millar, Johnny O, and Barber. We spend our money at Twill because we love the clothes and we love the no-pressure shopping. Drop by Twill in the Edina Galleria for the best shopping experience and best clothes you'll find in the Twin Cities.
So, it's amazing how often this happens. As soon as you get excited about the team, they tank. Yeah. As soon as you think they're tanking, they will rebound. I thought that they found something in that Canadian trip, and the last two games have been horrific.
Yeah. And then they come home and beat Winnipeg.
Yeah.
Where you think they're going to be horrific, and they're not, because you figure that fatigue set in, and then they go and they absolutely trip all over themselves the last couple of games, and it's just unacceptable. Look, it's one thing the Detroit game to I sort of understand that, and I didn't ask it in a most eloquent way, but Bruce kind of insinuated in his post game that, that maybe the team was tired from the road trip. And look, I know that fans don't like excuses, but I expected the Wild to play like they did against Detroit, against Winnipeg, and I think that Winnipeg got them all up because it's a division rival. There's a hatred there, blah 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 blah. But then what happened is now you're fatigued, and so. All right, it's one thing. So, let's say that Detroit is just a write-off. Mm-hmm. Well, then you got a rebound in Philly, and when you're up 2-0 on 2 crappy goals, by the way, I mean, both those goals are crappy goals, you got to win. And they just always do enough to lose, and it's important players trying to do too much. I mean, I wrote it in the Detroit story. Eric Stahl, who's struggling right now, is trying to do too much, and we saw it again last night. That back-breaking 5th goal is Parisi. But you got to get goaltending. There's just look. I get that those first 3 goals were wacky deflections. The first goal is a redirection in front of the net, top shelf. The second goal goes off his skate. There was plenty of breakdowns in front of Dubnyk, and then the third goal is batted in by essentially redirects off Brodin. But you got to make the save. You at some point here, again, the 5th goal, total mistake. But you need the goalie to just cover up for your teammates. That's part of the job. And so last night I thought was just disappointing. When you give up 6 shots in 25-minute span and 4 of them go in, one granted against Stalock, that the goalies have to take responsibility on that too. So that was it was a disappointing game by everybody last night. And then the other thing that is just absolutely a concern right now is watching guys like Granlund, Niederreiter, and Stahl every single night. I mean, these 3 have been awful. Awful. And, man, if Niederreiter's not going to score, you got to win some board battles. And last night he was soft on the wall, and they wound up going against. Stahl is not skating well right now. He looks tired. He looks old. He needs the All-Star break. And Granlund, I mean, what is going on, man? I mean, honestly, he's going to want $8-9 million a year. I'd trade him. If honestly, if this is, they cannot pay him this type of money, and not to sit here and try to say that I called a lot of this stuff, but the last couple of years when I kept on saying on the podcast, and you could probably go back and listen, that every time they sign one of these guys, they're making their bed. They're making their bed. How many times have I said they're making their bed? This was my concern. They've committed to a core that now when you pay them, if they flounder, you have now given them inflated, untradeable contracts. And they can't, right now, I mean, we all know that Fenton is tried to make some moves here. But the guys he's trying to move right now are guys like Niederreiter. Well, why can't he move him? Who would want him at 5.25 with 4 more years left on his deal? 3, really. Coyle is somebody that went from being very tradable to now, can you afford to trade him when he's your fastest center and Stahl and Koivu are playing like this? It's tough. So if all of a sudden they make that mistake with Granlund, you're in a lot of trouble. So not to depress everybody, but this I have a feeling is going to wind up being a depressing show. Especially if we start talking to the prospects.
We go back and talk about your mom's skill.
Yeah, I know. But you know what I mean? It's just this is just... And there was a certain irony last night of this happening in front of Chuck Fletcher.
Yep.
The roster that he constructed.
Yep.
That, once again, in a very winnable game, just completely melts down in front of his eyes. I mean, it just, it's like, here you go. And I love, I will say this, the other thing, Wild fans keep on saying, Flyers fans, you got an up close and personal, what's going to happen to your team? No. Philly is so far well beyond where the Wild are right now. Now, I get that they stink, but all they, to me, need is a goalie and some D. Their prospect pool is full, and they're full of studs. Look at that lineup last night. There are 5-6 players I'd rather that were on the ice last night for the Flyers that I would pick any one of them over anybody on the Wild. And that is just a fact. Would you rather have Giroux or anybody on the Wild? Would you rather have JVR or anybody on the Wild? Would you rather have Couturier? Maybe he would be one that you'd debate. Would you have a Voracek? I mean, you can go up and down that lineup. Would you have a Nolan Patrick? I would take any of those guys. And so he's not gonna, I don't know. I get there are challenges in Philly, but he's walked into a pretty good situation in my mind.
Well, I will take your word for it because I'm certainly no expert on the Flyers roster, but I was I was still shocked the way the Wild gave that game up yesterday.
Now, I will say, like, they were at bottom of the standings. Like, even Parisi said after the game, I didn't use the quote, but he said, and I didn't use the quote because I knew in a lot of ways, I knew what Parisi was. I was in the press box till 12:30 in the morning, and I didn't have the stamina to spend 4 graphs protecting Parisi for this one quote that I knew that fans would be a lightning rod for. But he basically said that the last 2 losses were deceiving in terms of the fact that they played crummy teams. He basically said, like, I don't look at Detroit and thinking they're bad. And he said, I definitely don't look at Philly and think that they're bad because look at every one of their stars that I just mentioned. Mm-hmm. They have great players on Philly. They just haven't had good goaltending. And to me, that was another huge disappointment about last night's game. I mean, look at the 3 goals that Carter Hart gave up to the Wild. Okay, the 4th goal was kind of fluky. I don't blame him on that one. But, I mean, sorry. The Zucker goal has got to stop. The Eriksson Ek goal, he's got to stop. The Foligno goal, he's got to stop. So that was a winnable game. And once again, the Wild don't take advantage. Who was it earlier this, about a month ago? It was a goalie that, like, none of us have ever heard of. And he's thrown in to play the Wild, and the Wild had, like, 2 shots in, like, the first 20 minutes of the game or something. It's like, this is what they do.
Please join us at Dulono's Pizza, downtown Minneapolis on January 28th, 6 o'clock. Again, we had a big crowd last time. It's always a lot of fun. The food is really good. And if you have a gluten allergy like I do, you can have gluten-free pizza. It's the best in town. They've been doing it for 60 years. This is their newer location. They also have a location in Woodbury. The downtown location is 118 North 4th Street. It's right by all the sporting venues, right by all the music venues. They are open till 3. They're open to 11 a.m. to 3 a.m. So you can go lunch, you go happy hour, before games, after games, late night. 612-767-9494 is what you call to get pizza delivered or to check in on them, and you can go to DeLano'sPizza.com to order pizza online, which is the way I do it all the time, and it will show up looking pristine. I really highly recommend Dulono's Pizza. Come out January 28th, Monday night, 6 o'clock, for a reunion show with Michael Russo, and again, get to come out and meet a lot of great people as well. Thanks to them for sponsoring the program. Do you want to go to Twitter questions, or was another point you wanted to make?
I think Twitter. We got tons of them, I see.
We do have tons of them. Let me see. We haven't heard from Mike Burgoyne in a while. Let's go to our old friend Mike. Will Leopold ever see we need more than tweaks and give the okay for a semi-rebuild? He will benefit financially in the long term.
I thought you were going to read the Burgoyne tweet that I actually retweeted today just to send to – it was my way of letting Wild fans know that, yes, Mike, as usual, is correct. I think a lot of Wild fans forget the fact or don't know the fact that Ottawa, in a move that could potentially cost Pierre Dorion his job, traded their first-round pick in the Duchesne deal without lottery protection. So they right now are tied for last in the NHL. And if they win the lottery, the Colorado Avalanche will own the number 1 pick in next year's draft.
Wow.
So, or if they win the lottery and, they could wind up with second. Either way, the Avs, the nemesis that is the Avs, could potentially get an absolute superstar. So not only do the Avs do it the right way where they have great years and they're awful and get guys like McKinnon and, it's like they always seem to figure out a way to, like, lose. But when they lose awful, so they get top picks. Now they're going to get one by the virtue of just incompetence. Sorry.
Well, we have our regulars lined up. Russo's
in terms of Burgoyne, what did Burgoyne said?
Basically,
I don't know. I mean, part of my wondering here is is Paul Fenton kind of let's see how bad we really could be, so I can convince Craig Leopold that this team isn't good enough. I mean, that's part of me. The longer this goes without him doing anything, makes me think that maybe that's what he's trying to do here, is show Craig, look, it's a broken record. They're doing it again. Only now they're getting older, and this is I don't know. I mean, I know that every year when they're in this roller coaster, we feel like it's the worst roller coaster ever, but this just, I don't know. This one is bothersome. And again, and not again to, again, I've been saying for the last 2-3 years that they're making their bed. I mean, for 2-3 years, I've been sounding this alarm that it was time to break this thing up, to at least trade a couple of these core players, and they never made core-altering moves. And the second they committed to all these guys, you're getting the same team back. Yep. Because again, Koivu, Stahl, Parise, Suter are only getting older. So if you commit to the core that continues to fail in the postseason, I did take a little shot in my gamer where I pointed out that the Niederreiter-Zucker goal that happened a couple minutes in the game in front of Chuck Fletcher were 1 point more each than they each had in the playoffs. It got Fletcher fired. Threw that in there.
It's a fact.
So.
From Russo's Filter, I don't even know what to ask at this point. Who's up next on the baby carousel?
What's that mean?
Who's the next kid to come up from Iowa?
Oh, probably not a kid. I mean, Kyle Rao had a hat trick yesterday. Greenway and Cunnin are a little banged up right now, so maybe we see him at some point. But, I mean, there's not much down there. Belpedio would be the only other, to me, anything close. But, I mean, Sokolov's on the fourth line. Susi has not been good all year long. I mean, this Iowa team is pretty amazing that they keep on winning like this. Like, I was talking to Pat Micheletti today, who called the game last night against San Diego. He's doing good. He pointed out that their best defenseman last night, which he wasn't even taking a shot, but he's like, they're just to show the way that they're sort of overachieving. Their best defenseman last night was Hunter Warner, and if you look at their roster, they're having a great year, but there's not a lot of players on that team that we're going to ever see in this situation. So it's not like we can all look at Iowa and say, wow, the future is bright for the Minnesota Wild. No, it's not. They didn't have a player in the World Juniors. Their only player in Corey Kronman's top 57 skaters prospects this is Kirill Kaprizov, who I think was down to like 16. He's still a figment of our imagination, but no other prospect on the Wild made his list. And by the way, Philip Johansson, their first-round pick, didn't make the list, and the guy that the Wild that was taken right after Philip Johansson was like in his top 15. So that is a little concerning. Anyway.
One of the great things about having sponsors is not only the ability to run this network and do these shows, but also we become friends with them and we use their services all the time. John Hedges from Fixology Repair just fixed a couple of my tablets. He's worked on all 18 of Michael Russo's watches, the ever-changing watch collection. So you're in good hands if you go to Fixology Repair, third floor of Mall of America by Nordstrom's, downtown in the Skyway, just south of the Wells Fargo Center, right across from Dunn Brothers. And one other note I want to throw in here, SodaStick.com sponsors the basketball show John Krasinski, who is Michael Russo's colleague and just won Sports Writer of the Year in Minnesota. And, if you like hockey apparel, gear, doodads, barbecue stuff, check out SodaStick.com. You'll get some Wild and North Star type apparel you can wear around. But back to John Hedges, fixologyrepair.com.
There are some things in life that you just can't live without. Now, whether it's a special piece of jewelry, a watch, or even your smartphone, you want it in working condition. At Fixology Repair, we are committed to restoring your pieces so that everything works or fits the way it ought to. Watch servicing, chain repair, and broken screen replacements are just a few of the services that we offer at our 2 locations, Mall of America and the Skyway in downtown Minneapolis. Please visit us at fixologyrepair.com or at fixologymn on Twitter to learn more. Mention this ad and get a 10% discount on our services.
From Biff Sticks. Mike Swanger asks, why does Bruce insist on having only one right-handed shot on the first team power play? Lack of alternatives seems like would be easy to defend.
Well, I mean, first of all, in terms of the right shots, I mean, we've been sounding that alarm now for a couple of years. Yep. But I mean, how many do they have? I mean, you're not putting Prosser on the power play. You're not putting Patterin on the power play. So you only have Spurgeon. Dumba's hurt. Up front, you're not putting J.T. Brown on the power play. You got Charlie Coyle, and that's it. Luke Cunnin. So Luke has finally worked his way into the power play, so he's trying to mix it up, but you only got 3 power play righties. So, I'm not sure what Bruce could do. He can't all of a sudden make 4 guys change the way they shoot the puck and put them on right side. So it's the nature of the way that this team is constructed. At the beginning of the year, Bruce tried his best to take advantage of the fact that they had all the lefties by having the all-lefty power play, and that obviously didn't work. So, because Granlund's not a superstar.
From Eric Vigo, did you get to joke with Chuck Fletcher if he has any second-round draft picks to give back to the Wild on the last trip? Did you actually talk to Fletcher?
Yeah, I did yesterday, very briefly, and he sent me a long text the other day, just because I've been trying to obviously do a story. He hasn't talked since he's been fired publicly, and so I figured, all right, let's try it, and he declined, and he explained why in the text, and look, I'm sure fans want to hear from him, but look, I can't make him speak. But I went by their booth and talked to him. Before the game yesterday, and it was funny. Brent Flair was in there, and the security guy opened the door to let me in, and Brent looked at the security guy. Brent is really quick and sarcastic. Brent looked at the security guy and goes, "This is why we have security." So it broke the ice pretty well. But it was just so weird to be in the Philly press box, go into the Philly GM's booth, which is in the corner on the right side of the ice as opposed to the left in Minnesota. And you walk in there, and there's Brent Flair, and there's Chuck Fletcher, like I've done every year for 9 years here, and see them. And then Chuck's having a conversation with Bobby Clark, who I'm like, well, Bobby hired him in Florida in 1993. I
covered Bobby here.
So it's just, it was just kind of like it was just bizarre being in there. I couldn't even get it out of my head how weird it was that we're in the Flyers box, a team that Chuck Fletcher used to despise. It's the team that the Florida Panthers beat in the 95-96 second round to get to the conference final against Pittsburgh. And, the whole Legion of Doom, and watching Eric Lindros turn Rob Niedermayer into a checker that series. He went from a goal scorer to a checker with one hit. So it was just, it was just bizarre. So,
from Matt Zenner, when do we start the push to move this team to Quebec City?
That might be Ottawa.
From Nikolai, how tough has it been getting info on the Wild side of things with Fenton at the helm now, and do you see this changing at all?
Very tough. I mean, he keeps everything close to the vest. He's not very trustworthy of a lot of, I think of his staff even. It's just it is very difficult, and that's going to change. That hopefully will change at some point here. I don't expect him to sit there and talk trade with me and things like that, but you'd love him to be more forthcoming a lot of things. And and to me, I've always told GMs, to me it helps them to at least have conversations with me. It doesn't always have to be on the record, but you want me to at least understand your rationale for doing things or why you're doing things, so I could be the liaison, the conduit between the team and the fan, and explain it correctly, because you don't want me shooting from the hip. An example is I wanted to do a mailbag tomorrow, and they were down in Florida having their scouting meetings, and I don't want to do the mailbag because all of a sudden everything I write, because I know that everybody right now is going to ask about trades. Well, I don't want to sit there and just make stuff up, throw stuff against the wall. I want to actually, to me, there's an old Bob Ryan, the sports columnist for the Boston Globe, one of my heroes in this business, had a great line once where he said, you know who told me this? John Lowe, the old baseball writer for the Detroit Free Press.
He was one of my mentors when I first started covering baseball.
He is the one that told me, he goes, it's not my job to tell you what I think of Jim Leland, it's my job to tell you what Jim Leland is thinking. He once said that to me, and it was in my mind, and that's sort of how I am. My job is not to sit there and just give you my opinion on what he might be doing. Yeah, but it's not my opinion. Even in my story today, where I'm kind of guessing, it would make sense to call on Simmons, it would make sense to call on Puljujärvi. I'm just making that up because I don't know. I do know that he has talked to Chuck about a number of things, but I want to be able to actually talk to him so I can give information and report things. So I do hope that he becomes a little more transparent in here. I understand why he's also under pressure right now. He hasn't been able to make a trade yet. It's not without the lack of trying. We're still trying to find out if he knows how to make a trade. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that goes into making trades that he's never, ever, ever had to deal with. Understanding that guys have no trade clauses, understanding salary cap repercussions and ramifications. This is stuff that he needs to lean on people to learn. And, from what I hear from other teams is that, like, a lot of times he'll be calling up and he'll be asking about players that it's even hard to even understand how the dots were connected in Paul's mind at some point. So we'll see. He's a rookie GM and so he's learning on the fly too. As long as and this is a guy that has been in the business for a long time. But look, he's a scout. His job the last 18 years was scouting, and hopefully that's an area where he really helped this organization, especially from an amateur side. But the other stuff, he is learning. I mean, he's a rookie GM.
A few more Twitter questions. Do want to thank Tony Hoaglund, your State Farm agent, works in Champlin. You can work with him no matter where you live via app, email, phone, whatever. He has a very nimble staff. H-O-A-G-L-U-N-D.
I talked to Michaela there today.
Did you? Okay,
Yep.
cool.
Yep.
And that's another example of us using our connections with sponsors. We both get our insurance through State Farm and Tony Hoaglund.
Hey, Minnesota sports fans. This is your local State Farm agent, Tony Hoaglund. I need you all to ask yourselves this question. If you're in an at-fault car accident and you are sued for $700,000, how much of that $700,000 will my current insurance company pay? If you are unsure or can't answer all $700,000, you need to give us a call. State Farm has been number one in car insurance since World War II and number one in homeowners insurance since 1964. For a no-obligation review of your current policies, call us at 763-421-4900 or check out our website at www.champlininsurance.com.
From General Soreness, I know Doobie is a go-to quote. Just seems like a dicey proposition for a goalie to take on that role. Is it taboo for skaters and coaches to call out goalies? Isn't the reverse true? Should Doobie be put in a position where he might have to call out coaches or goalie or skaters?
I think I understand what he's saying, and you're right. I mean, if it's a great point, because if all of a sudden last night Zach Parise or Eric Stahl or Ryan Suter or somebody said, it'd be nice if we get a freaking save.
Yep.
We'd all be like, whoop. I mean, it would explode. But Doobie could sit there and basically rip the play in front of him. I mean, that's just the nature of the beast. And you're right, it probably rubs players the wrong way. Bruce doesn't pull punches with his goalie. I don't think there's a lot of love there.
Between who and who?
Probably Doobie with Bruce. I think that he feels like these should be his game till the end, and Bruce is trying to win games right now, and sometimes has to make the tough decision. I'll be interested to see who's starting tonight because usually if you're going to pull the starter in the front end of a back-to-back, it means you're coming back with him the next night. So we'll see if that changes tonight. Sometimes you might need to challenge this guy and say, and it's not like Stalock's been great lately. Let's be honest.
No.
We'll see.
From Mark,
wouldn't shock me.
From Mark, does Craig Leopold regret his tweak decree?
I've asked. He hasn't answered he hasn't really given me any indication that he regrets it.
From Alec, who drinks more coffee, Russo or Fenton?
I can promise you it's me.
From Justin Caesar wears pants sometimes. That's his handle. I realize there aren't players we could sell high at the moment. So what is the way forward? Do the Wild even have time to retool for when the savior Kaprizov gets here?
Yeah, that's the other sad thing is that the pressure that's going to be on this freaking kid when he comes here. Oh my God. We'll worry about that in like 10 years. I don't know. I really do not know. I don't know how you fix this. This is why I've been saying for 2 years they're making their bed. They're making their bed. This is what I meant. They have put themselves. Paul Fenton has inherited a very unenviable position because you have a bunch of no moves that you can't move. You have a bunch of core guys that have proven over and over again that they haven't been able to perform, and now are sort of untradeable. And you have no prospects. So. And
is this the oldest team in the NHL?
Yeah. Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Went from promising to oldest.
At least during training camp.
fast.
Now maybe things have changed with trades and other tweaks that other organizations have made. But in the analysis that I think James Myrtle did for The Athletic at the beginning of the season. He always does the age, height, the age, size, nationality type of story. The Wild were the oldest.
Justin also asked if Boudreaux is safe. Is it too early to start asking that question?
I mean, as of in the middle of the 11 game out of 15 swoon, he was safe. So I would assume he's safe now. It kind of goes to my other theory too. It's like if you're Paul Fenton and you want to show Craig Leopold the team's not good enough and that needs to be more than tweaks and that needs to be a bit of a a sort of a rebuild here, but not a rebuild because it's impossible to tear this thing apart. Maybe you just let Bruce kind of go down with the ship, and then you hire your guy going into next year.
Does he have a guy?
I mean, there are two guys in the organization that will be probably the next coach of the Wild. It's just one of the two. Tim Armey's doing a fabulous job down in Iowa, and I know Tommy Curvers loves him, and he's a character. And Dean Evison, who's on the bench right now, who's the guy that Paul Fenton brought in here and didn't renew the contract to John Anderson. Dean was his coach in Milwaukee. I will say that playoff success wise, he's on par with the Wild. The Milwaukee's playoff record under Dean, I'm pretty sure was like 1-13. So
he fit right in.
Yeah. But you never know why that happens.
Right.
Nashville usually calls up a lot of good players at the end of the year because they're going on runs and things like that. So
from Eric Berg, we will wrap up the podcast and head to the arena here shortly. Eric Berg asks, does NHL Ops only use one feed or telecast when reviewing challenges calls? What is it we're all missing about why that offside call was not overturned?
Well, I will say, I'm telling you, I went into the first of all, they do have both feeds. I went into and I have the video, and it was sent to me. It's weird. So Jim Jackson videoed it with his recorded it with his phone. What I was watching in their booth yesterday, and it came to me, and it's completely blurry. I'm looking at it right now. So I was going to tweet this out so everybody could see, but you cannot tell with the way this video is transmitted to me. But the puck is on the blue line. His stick comes off the puck, and Couturier, almost staring at JVR, has the puck now enters the offensive zone. He keeps his stick about 2-3 inches behind the puck. He's watching JVR, and the second JVR tags up, he touches the puck. It was amazing awareness. And the angle, if it was undoctored, this was sent to NBC Philadelphia from the league. If it is exactly on par in terms of seconds, then the second that the video that I saw, he was absolutely onside by a hair. So I think that's what the league saw, and that's what the linesman saw.
Interesting. And I'm going to let Barry Voigt take a shot at us. He said regarding the discussion about guys not targeting injuries and so should be made public, the injuries should be made public. What about Parise getting slaughtered in the back 50 times a game?
That's his entire life. I mean, if you play in front, you're gonna get slaughtered. I mean, I don't think that's because people are saying he's a, he's got the back injury. I think it's him standing in front of the net and he knock him down.
There are a couple more good questions I really want to get to from Ty Dalla. Could you see Cunnin playing center down the road?
I mean, he was. Yeah, I can. I don't know if he has the wheels to be a center, but yeah, I could see it.
From not Mike Greenlay, why don't we hear from Koivu after losses anymore?
Because it's our fault. I mean, he's always in his stall.
Yeah, he's there. He's available.
And it is an interesting dynamic. I always, there got to be part of Mikko that's like, why are you going to stall Parise, blah, 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 when I'm the captain? But, I mean, frankly, I don't go to him a lot of times because it's kind of like the old Dave Molinari rule where he didn't talk to Tom Barrasso and some of these guys in Pittsburgh because, I am not going to go over to Mikko every single night and have him bite our heads off because he's angry at the questions. He's an intense guy. There's a 5-minute cool-down period in the NHL. Mikko needs about a 30, okay? And I essentially, last year we were in Tampa. It was so vicious the way that he was talking to us that the Wild.com didn't even put the video up because it was going to embarrass him. And finally I got into it with him. Yeah. and he did calm down. But it's just he's fiery after games.
He's also not a good quote.
Yeah, it's like that too. I will say, like, you get him sometimes, even after wins, and you're like, all right, well, there are 50 other quotes that are better.
Right.
So you use those instead. And so he's not going to sit there and share why they lost. He's going to be and so I've now I'm not the only beat writer. There are other guys that can go to him too, and Sarah. There's other electronic media that can go to him. They don't need to all follow me around the locker room, but I make it a point sometimes to avoid them. Mm-hmm. And the last time this happened was we decided to divide and conquer about a month ago, and I went to somebody after a loss, and basically Sarah and I made this deal, like, hey, you know what? What happened was Sarah was under a really tight deadline that night. So she asked me a favor, hey, do you mind if we divide and conquer and maybe like we have a little quotes pool? And I'm like, yeah, no problem. So she's like, I'll take Miko. I'm like, oh, fabulous. She went over to Miko. She asked him 2 questions that lasted 40 seconds. I was watching with the corner eye, and I went up to Sarah and said, how was it? And she's like, just, basically it was,
worthless.
Yeah. And again, kind of mean, and so we've just stopped going to him.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not saying this isn't anything to do with Miko not being available. It's more on I'll take the hit on it, But to me, it's because he is incapable after a loss of 1, treating us with respect, but 2, being willing to even discuss the loss.
Right.
So that's just and I think anybody that knows me knows that I'm a fan of Miko, and I respect the heck out of him. But that's why. I mean, I'm not. I've done this for too long, 24 years. And I'm not going to sit there and have to fight with him after a game. It's my decision that I've made, and I'm willing to. If fans think that's bullshit and unprofessional, hey, that's your prerogative, but you're not the one that has to walk into the locker room and have to sit there and walk on eggshells and make sure you don't even say the wrong word that's going to set him off.
I think we'll end on that. Derek Felska asked about whether this team hates each other. Let's save that for a good discussion at Dulono's Pizza, January 29th, 6 o'clock. Thanks again. 28th. 28th, Monday night, 6 p.m. Thank you at Dulono's Pizza. Thanks also to TwillMN.com, FixologyRepair.com, Tony Hoaglund, your State Farm agent. Champlin, again, if you'd like to advertise with us and reach a very large, committed audience, you can reach us at talknorthpodcast@gmail.com. Thanks to Michael, and good luck. Good luck, everybody. Yep.
Pretty little city built on a hillside. Music in the bars and fire in the sky. We went to the beach and it was covered in ice. And I used to call it home. So much coming out, there's nothing going in. I know that you feel like you're never gonna win. Oh, but the world won't forgive a winner.
Like we all know, I'm not a winner.